Former WWE superstar Ronda Rousey says that current WWE Executive Director Bruce Prichard, as well as former Executive Vice President of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis, can go F themselves, and says she doesn't intend on returning to WWE. We got all of the details on that. Plus, Adam Copeland is the brand new TNT champion after forcing Christian Cage to say "I quit" last night on AEW Dynamite. Kazuchika Okada is the brand new AEW Continental champion after defeating Eddie Kingston. Tony Khan makes a cameo on Dynamite's last night. Willow Nightingale teases a heel turn over Mercedes Monae. Julia Hart, though, and Sky Blue defeated Nightingale and Chris Statlander on AEW Rampage after Dynamite. The Best Friends have advanced in the AEW World Tag Team Title Tournament. Nick Aldis, the SmackDown General Manager, has sustained a torn bicep injury. We'll let you know if he's expected to miss any television time. FTR versus the Infantry has been confirmed for an upcoming episode of AEW Collision, and Will Ospreay versus Katsuyori Shibata is announced for next week's Dynamite. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrest News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's start off talking about Ronda Rousey, who's once again been in the headlines for her comments about WWE, as well as a current executive and a former executive that worked for the company. Now, Ronda Rousey isn't holding back with her comments about WWE in her new book, which releases in April, and she's already making more headlines. Rousey has been promoting her book, Our Fight, including an interview on Live Signing in which she gave some interesting previews of what people can expect to read about in the book itself. Now, it's very clear that Rousey won't pull any punches when it comes to giving her thoughts on WWE, a company she describes as an absolute shit show. During the interview, when she was asked about whether beef between MMA fighters is real, she had the following to say. She said, quote, "In MMA, I originally just started beef for publicity, but those other bitches did not get the memo, and so they became personal. And in WWE, it's all fake. I love them. Except for Bruce Prichard and John Laurinaitis, they can go fuck themselves. That's real." Now, Bruce Prichard is the current executive director at WWE, while Laurinaitis was let go by the company in 2022 after being named in a sexual misconduct allegation lawsuit associated with Vince McMahon. After McMahon departed WWE, Ronda Rousey publicly tweeted her belief that Prichard is McMahon's avatar and McMahon isn't truly gone if Bruce Prichard is still there. Discussing other things people can expect to read about in the book, Rousey added the following. She said, quote, "How much of an absolute shit show it is at WWE, because they can't hold a sword over my head and hold me hostage with my own career, and I don't need anything from them, and I don't intend on going back, so I can actually say everything that I think and feel, where everybody else that is still held captive by their organization cannot." So Rousey certainly, again, very strong in her comments about WWE. Now, of course, earlier in the day, we did cover this yesterday, excerpts from Rousey's book started doing the rounds, which included her commenting on the alleged sexual mistreatment within the company, including naming Vince McMahon himself. So what are your thoughts on Rousey's comments there? Will you be buying the book? Let me know your thoughts, as always, in the comment section below. Now, Adam Copeland is the brand new AEW TNT champion in a match that became the first of its kind, starting on AEW Dynamite and carrying right over onto Rampage. Adam Copeland forced Christian Cage to say "I quit" with a low blow from his nail-laden paddle spike and the threat of a bludgeoning thereafter, securing the AEW TNT Championship for the second time in his career. As to be expected in an "I quit" match, Copeland and Cage utilized a bevy of weapons, including the tried and true tables, ladders, and chairs that they're famous for. They also took advantage of being in the hockey hotbed of Toronto to make use of the hometown Maple Leafs penalty box for a slugfest after Copeland borrowed a pair of jerseys from fans in the front row behind the box, as well as Cage getting dropped over the hockey goal and both men feeling the brunt of a hockey stick several times over. The involvement of Nick and Shane Wayne along with Killswitch seemed to turn the tides in favour of Cage before Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard helped even the odds. Ultimately, with Cage's allies neutralised, the leader of the patriarchy found himself handcuffed in the corner after a series of punches from all of Copeland, Garcia and Menard. hard. The Rated R superstar then proceeded to pummel Cage with a series of low blow kicks before finally presenting Spike and introduced that to his nether regions as well. When he raised the weapon above Cage's head, seemingly ready to swing it down in a catastrophic fashion, the incumbent champion finally ceded, saying, "I quit," making Copeland the new title holder. So Adam Copeland, the brand new AEW TNT champion. Now, Kazuchika Okada is also a champion in AEW because the Triple Crown in AEW is seemingly no more. On Wednesday's AEW Dynamite, Kazuchika Okada dethroned AEW Continental Champion Eddie Kingston in a blistering opening contest. Okada has been signed to AEW for less than a month, and the title marks his first championship in the company. Kingston had been the champion since December 30, when he was crowned the inaugural champion in the finals of the AEW Continental Classic. Kingston's Ring of Honor World and New Japan Strong Openweight Championships were not on the line. After the match, Okada was confronted by former AEW International Champion Pac, who made it clear he would be challenging for the newly minted title. A former IWGP Heavyweight Champion and never Openweight six-man tag team champion, Okada had been the franchise face of New Japan Pro Wrestling for much of the past decade, but his contract expired in January, leading to his signing with AEW, where he has been a member of the newly formed version of the Elite, alongside Matthew and Nicholas Jackson. Now, this actually led to a cameo from the AEW President and CEO himself, Tony Khan, last night on AEW Dynamite, which you can see on the screen right there. Now, the Young Bucks said earlier on in the day they were going to be Okada's personal producer for the match, instructing several replays during the bout. In it, we actually saw backstage the Young Bucks sitting alongside Tony Khan in a rare cameo from the AEW owner on Dynamite. Now, the show kicked off last night with Mercedes Monae cutting an in-ring promo alongside Tony Schiavone, but we actually saw maybe as well a glimpse of the future and a potential possible heel turn. Now, last night's episode of Dynamite kicked off with AEW's latest signing, Mercedes Monae. While Mercedes made a big entrance and cut a promo about being happy to be back in the ring, she also came with her own video package. After a vignette explaining Mercedes Monae to the crowd was shown, the lights ominously went out. When Julia Hart appeared on the ramp, Mercedes was nearly taken by surprise by a run-in from Sky Blue. However, Monae managed to fight off both of them. However, when the spooky duo took a moment to regroup as well as grab steel chairs to try it again, Monae was joined in the ring by Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, who ran out with their own chairs. After the lights cut out again and came back on, Hart and Blue had disappeared, but interestingly, Willow Nightingale stood with her chair still up, seemingly aimed at Mercedes. When Monae turned round and demanded to know if Willow was going to hit her, Willow dropped the chair but never actually denied she was thinking about using it. Mercedes would leave the ring, but turning back to warn Nightingale that she was going to keep an eye on her. With a potential feud for the pair surrounding their shared history emerging, it is left open to interpretation perhaps which star will go heel and face in their future fights as well. Notoriously epic heel Mercedes continues to make her entrance through the face tunnel in both of her AEW appearances thus far. However, time will tell where her demeanor will land. That was a busy night for Nightingale and Statlander as they faced off against the aforementioned Hart and Blue in the main event of AEW Rampage, and the house always wins. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale have been feuding with the TBS champion Julia Hart and Sky Blue for a number of weeks. The bitter rivalry came to a head on the March 20 episode of AEW Rampage as the two teams clashed in a street fight. The duo started brawling right away, and chairs and kendo sticks quickly came into the picture. In one early highlight, Statlander slammed Hart while she was stuck in a chair. Hart went on to use the House of Black signature spike, but she accidentally hit Blue. Statlander later sent her through a table. Blue fired back with a code blue on the announce table. Blue and Statlander brought out some thumbtacks and Sky slammed Chris onto them. Willow took a big swing with a Death Valley driver through a table, but in the end, Hart clinched the win as she made Statlander tap out to the Heartless. So that feud is going to continue on. Speaking of tag teams, we have an update when it comes to the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament, because the March 2024 edition of AEW Rampage featured 4 matches, one of which was the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament wildcard match between the Don Callis family's Kyle Fletcher and Powerhouse Hobbs against the Best Friends, the tag team of Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. Fletcher and Hobbs dominated the early proceedings of the match, with Beretta thrown out of the ring and then thrown into the barricade, while Cassidy was driven into the apron a few times by Hobbs. A little while later, Beretta and Cassidy turned the tide in their favor as the former champion landed double knees, and then Fletcher and Hobbs ran into each other. Cassidy then landed a crossbody on Fletcher from the top rope, followed by an elbow suicida to Hobbs, and then a tornado DDT to Fletcher, only for Hobbs to break up the pinfall. The Don Callis family tried to target Cassidy's lower back with a torture rack, but Beretta came to the aid of his teammates. Hobbs continued his strategy to inflict pain on the former AEW International Champion's back by standing on it, but Beretta landed a super kick to help his teammate out once again. Cassidy then kicked out of a spinning pile driver delivered to him by Fletcher. Beretta once again assisted Cassidy when he and Fletcher were on the top rope, landing a half-and-half suplex on Fletcher, after which Cassidy landed a tornado DDT and the orange punch to get the win. With this victory, the best friends have now progressed to the quarterfinals of the AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament, where they will face the Undisputed Kingdom. FTR, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, the Young Bucks, Top Flight, Private Party and the Infantry are the other teams in the quarterfinals of the tournament. The finals will take place at the upcoming AEW Dynasty pay-per-view. Now, this is a bit of an interesting story when it comes to SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis. It's pretty tough being an on-screen authority figure in WWE. A roster full of stars constantly getting into brawls in between segments, demanding things on the day of the show, and just being hard to deal with can be a real task. However, one figure in particular has been dealing with a very real problem. PW Insider is reporting that SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis has been dealing with an injury as of late, with multiple WWE sources believing he has a torn bicep that requires surgery. Another report was published later the same day by PW Insider confirming that not only did Aldis have a torn bicep, that he had already undergone surgery for it, and everything went smoothly to the point that WWE doesn't think Aldis will miss any upcoming appearances for the company. In fact, Aldis later confirmed and commented on the injury via a post on X. He posted, quote, "Yes, I just got out of surgery for a ruptured bicep tendon, and yes, the Sheets had it within minutes. God bless them. Must be a slow news day," Aldis wrote. "Anyway, it was a freak accident. I'm on the mend, and I will continue to fulfill my obligations." Now, before his time as a SmackDown general manager, Aldis was best known for his work as Magnus in TNA Wrestling, where he would not only win the 2 TNA World Tag Team Championships, but also the TNA World Championship as well. With TNA having working relationships overseas during his time there, Aldis also won gold in New Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah. He also was in the NWA, being the NWA World Heavyweight Champion for over 1,300 days between 2017 and 2021. Of course, he made his WWE debut after becoming a backstage producer in August of 2023, becoming the SmackDown General Manager a few weeks later. Now, FTR vs. the Infantry has been set up for the next episode of AEW Collision. It's not going to be this weekend, though. It's going to be in 2 weeks' time. On Wednesday, AEW announced that the two teams will face off in the quarterfinal match in the AEW Tag Team Title Tournament. There will not be an episode of AEW Collision this week due to the March Madness coverage. This match will take place on the next episode of the program on March 30. The Infantry defeated the House of Black in a surprise upset on last week's Collision. After taking most of the match, the House of Black was interrupted by Mark Briscoe, who hit Matthews with a steel chair and distracted Brody King long enough for Buddy Matthews to get pinned. The two teams met 2 weeks ago on Collision as FTR was talking about the tournament with Tony Schiavone. The Infantry told FTR that they respected them, but they were looking for their spots and would give the tag team titles a revival. FTR responded by saying the revival were dead, and if they met each other in the tournament, the Infantry would be too. And finally, we're going to be getting a big match next week on AEW Dynamite as Will Ospreay is set to face off against Kazuchika Shibata. Yes, Ospreay vs. Shibata is one of 3 matches announced for the March 27 episode of Dynamite. In something of a dream match, Ospreay and Shibata will go one-on-one for just the second time ever, and for the first time since 2017 on next Wednesday's Dynamite, as the build continues to Ospreay vs. Bryan Danielson at AEW Dynasty on April 21st. Ospreay laid out the challenge to Shibata on this week's Dynamite during an in-ring promo, noting that Danielson and Shibata put on a pro wrestling clinic in their match on last week's Collision. Ospreay said that as he prepares to wrestle Danielson, he feels the need to walk in Danielson's shoes by taking on Shibata. Shibata and Ospreay last wrestled at New Japan's The New Beginning in Osaka in February 2017, with Shibata coming away with a victory in that bout. Swerve Strickland will also be in action on next week's Dynamite, with the top contender to Samoa Joe's AEW World title taking on Konosuke Takeshita. The AEW Tag Team Title Tournament will also continue on Dynamite with a quarterfinals matchup between the Young Bucks and Private Party. But there you go, guys. This is the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak for you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching. streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.